Hello, everyone. My name's Jackie. Today we're going to be reading the story, The Hero Next Door by William Alexander. And we have also a few more authors so this book's a little different. This book has different stories in each chapter, and they're all going to be about heroes. And I want us to take a quick look to this little phrase that says right here so we can get thinking of what maybe these stories are going to be about. We're only going to be able to read a few pages today about a certain section that I chose. And so let's read what it says right here really quick. Not all heroes wear capes. I want you to keep that in mind. Think about it. Actually, I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes just to think about it. Write it down. Write about what do you think not all heroes wear capes mean? Okay. Pause the video and then we can get back to it once you're done. Okay, now that you're all done, I want us to get right into it. The Hero Next Door. And I want us to turn to page 133. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to turn there. 133. Okay, now that we're all there, we're going to get to it. Before we get started, I want us to take a look at this image, at this illustration right on the top. What comes to mind when you see this? Please feel free to share it with the person next to you, whoever you're working with. Share with them, okay? All right, now that we're back and done with sharing, just shout out some of your answers. One of the things I thought was maybe a sunset, or when I go hiking, I see the clouds and the mountains, the hills, right? Now I want to hear from you guys. Very great responses. I love them. All right, now let's get started with the story. Remember page 133, okay? The title of the story is Los Abuelos, Two Bright Minds by Juana Medina. There's nothing I love more than having onces with my abuelos. While they drink coffee and eat aquiras, I drink chocolate milk and eat calados with butter and honey. We sit in my abuela's studio facing the large windows that make it to the warmest room in their house. Resting our plates on her drawing table, we see way beyond their garden as the Andes mountain become gigantic shadows and sun disappears. And then we have this little bubble over here that her mom, that means like her grandma is speaking, right? Her grandma said something. What is she saying? Let's see. When I die, I hope my job in heaven will be to help paint sunsets. So now that we go back to this image, to this illustration, what can we think about? We read two things that can be possible, right? What was one of them? The Andes mountain becoming gigantic shadows and the sun disappears. Yes, that's a good one. And then what can be the other one? What did the grandma say? Let's think about that. Yeah, she said help paint sunset. So maybe it can be an illustration of a sunset. Good job, you guys. You guys are doing really good. Let's go move on to the next page, okay? So 134. We have a few more illustrations, right? What can we see from these illustrations? She's a little sad over here. Ooh, she looks like she's learning a lot, right? Yes. Okay, let's get started with what it's saying. And maybe we can find out what these illustrations mean. I often worry about my abuelos. My abuelo says they are not that old, but I know they aren't young. Also, abuela's heart isn't strong. She got sick when she was little. She was so horribly ill that days of high fevers affect her heart. So maybe that's her abuela when she was small and sick, right? When she was sick, right? She was sick, she was little, she wasn't feeling too good. When we're feeling too good, we're not feeling good. We're always in our bed and our parents take care of us, right? They check our fever, they check if they give us medicine. So maybe that's what she was doing. She was resting because she did not feel good. She felt weak. Abuela might not be strong enough to climb mountains, but She's courageous. Let's say that word one more time. Courageous. Courageous. Have we heard that word? No, we haven't. It's okay. Well, that word means being brave. A lot of you guys are brave a lot of the time, right? Okay, let's pause the video and let's share with someone next to you when a time you've been brave. Okay? All right. Okay, now that you guys have shared a time you've been courageous or brave, let's continue reading the story. She's been through so many heart surgeries, the kind where they open your chest as if they're unzipping it, breaking ribs to get to the heart. Despite all the pain she's had, Abuela's always laughing, and something about her deep laughs filling the room with a hearty roar. So we see these books. We still haven't answered why she's there with a whole bunch of books, right? Maybe she was so sick that she was doing school at home. So homeschool, maybe, right? Share some ideas. What do you guys think this illustration could mean? Great responses, you guys. One time I asked Abuela when she had been the happiest in her whole life. She said, I remember running like the wind when I was 6 years old. After that, I was too sick to even stand or walk. I was stuck in bed endlessly. But thankfully, there's too much to do and appreciate, even if you have to stay laying down stacks of books quickly accumulating by my bedside. We see another word, accumulating. Let's repeat that one more time. Accumulating by my bedside. What can accumulating mean? Well, if we see by my bedside, maybe it has to do with this image, right? Accumulating by my bedside. That means having a lot of. So we see that she's having a lot of books in her room, that they're bringing more and more. So we're bringing in more and more stuff. So she's accumulating books. She's having a lot of books. As I decided to read and learn all I could about the world, Abuela loves history and architecture. She couldn't go to college because of her weak heart. But being endlessly curious and hungry for knowledge, she found ways to learn about mechanics and beautiful designs. In her woodshop, she built puzzles and clocks and even sailboats. Abuela is an extraordinary engineer. She might not have a strong beating heart, but she's determined, like the hummingbirds that visit her garden. We see that word determined. Determined, like the hummingbirds that visit her garden. What can that mean? She's determined. She's determined because, like the hummingbirds that visit her garden. Maybe the hummingbirds are always visiting her garden, right? Because that's what the word determined means. That you put a goal and you're going after it. Just like hummingbirds, they're always going to go to her house. Maybe she puts food or something, right? She has a garden with maybe lots of flowers, beautiful flowers. Abuela's body might be delicate and often need rest, but she's an amazing builder. So maybe that's why she has all these lines, right? Because she was talking about being an extraordinary engineer. That means building and creating so many new things. So in order to build, you might need a ruler, right? Because you want to get the exact measurements. So let's continue on to the next page, 136. Abuela says, throughout my life, I've had to stay still. But your abuelo has always been on the move. When he was little, he dreamed of being a pilot. With help from his siblings, he jumped off the roof of his house inside an enormous cauldron. Have we ever heard of that word cauldron? Can we use any of of what is around in this page to help us? Maybe the image to help us? What can the word cauldron mean? Let's continue reading. Landing safely on the leafy ablutions of fig tree planted in the garden, that surely got him into serious trouble. His mom, my great-grandma, didn't like the idea of him jumping off roofs, and even less the idea of him becoming a pilot. Eventually, my abuelo gave up on the idea of flying and instead became a medical doctor, a brain surgeon. And then we see another one of him speaking. Commander Rosa's taking off. So what can we see about the word cauldron? We relate it to the word cauldron. He is jumping off a roof, right? That's what the text was saying. So, and what is he doing here? In this illustration, he's jumping off the roof in the cauldron, which is a pot. It's a pot where a lot of moms or grandmas cook soup. So that's what a cauldron is. In Spanish, it would be called calderón. All right. Continue reading. Over our onces in the late afternoon as we watch birds eating from the feeders my abuelos have built. Abuelo tells me about how he left Colombia to study in Chicago. Abuela wipes from her fingers the fine crumbs left behind by the aquiras. She gets up and leaves the wood shop while Abuelo is describing Chicago, a magical place where he found his love for blues and jazz and where he enjoyed meeting people with unique and extraordinary stories. He loved living there, but he also found it very hard, especially in the cold weather. Sometimes even spring, like Bogota, feels cold to him. That's why he likes his cafecito, boiling hot, and he wears a puffy jacket inside the house. So what was that word cafecito? Coffee. Good job, you guys. Great job. Right? We saw a lot of Spanish word like abuelos, which is grandparents, right? We saw the word calados, which is a type of food like bread-like, right? And then we see Colombia, Bogota. So maybe they're coming from a Latin American household, the abuelos, right? So that's it for the read aloud. We're gonna stop right here on page 137, but I want us to quickly analyze one more time another illustration, this illustration. Sometimes there's this big city, right? And then we feel so small. There's so many times that we feel so small in places we enter, right? A lot of us have felt that way. We feel that we're going into this big place, maybe a museum or an amusement park, and we're so small. Or sometimes we're going into a new place like a classroom and we feel so small. We feel like we don't belong, but we belong, right? We belong just like he did, like just like his abuelo did, and he overcame and he became a brain surgeon. He became someone extraordinary, right? All right, you guys, that's the it for Los Abuelos and Two Bright Minds. I hope you guys can continue reading. There's only a few pages left. You guys can read it with your parents or whoever, your siblings, right? And I hope you guys enjoyed this read aloud and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.